How's it going, everybody? My name's Josh, Joshua, Carpo, whatever you prefer. This video, I guess, will be somewhere along the lines of talking about life in general. You know, life is... Oh God. How do I say this without sounding like a cheese ball? Life is awesome, embrace it. You know, the way that I view things in life is going to be completely different from the way that you view things. And this difference is what makes us compatible as people. It's the differences between us that make us compatible, not the similarities. This is why they say opposites attract, and why, you know, husbands and wives can be completely different types of people and live a perfectly intertwined relationship. Have many similarities and many differences. But speaking about life itself, you know, the reason why I bring up differences is because it seems like that's what people want to embrace. It seems like folks would rather find the differences between each other and single them out as being somehow negative, rather than trying to understand things from the perspective of variety, variation. I always say things like variety is the spice of life and embrace diversity, but we don't. We don't. And we always want to point the finger at each other and tell each other how we could be better. And I'm sure each one of you have had experiences where somebody's telling you how you could, you know, what's wrong with you, you know, and it can wear you down if you don't have strength. I have a good foundation for who I am. I know myself. I've been called everything in the book in my life, and you know, like, people always want to single out anything about me if they don't like me that they can, you know, pick at. For example, I was having a conversation this morning with my mom. We were talking about, oh, I mentioned how somebody had said I'm skinny and I need to gain weight. A couple people said that. And I said, well, I'm actually at the high end of my ideal weight class for my size. And I started thinking, why do people assume that? Is it because I'm so skinny? And I thought about it. I thought it's because people don't realize that I'm almost 6'3". Because I'm on camera as this personality, as this person here talking to you, but all you ever see is the top half of me. That, it just made me realize, it was one of those moments where I realized the perspectives we have, kind of like, if you know, people like Tom Cruise were saying how he's actually short. They put him on stools to do certain scenes in movies because he's so short. And you can't really tell by looking at him because you're always seeing him as an actor. Conan O'Brien is super tall, but you can't really tell until you see him stand up. My point being that we're all different people. We're all different sizes, different makes and models, and different serial numbers, different genetic codes. There are genetics that come from the Inuits that say preserve food and metabolize very slowly food. That way you can, you know, during lean times, the bodies can accommodate that. And when those genes are passed down into a society that eats too much, you know, we end up getting fat. So people will point the finger and say you're fat, or you're skinny, or you're this, or you're that. Point being that amongst all of that, there's this, there's a discomfort with self when a person is often telling others what's wrong with them. And I've realized this over the years, because when I was young, I was never a hateful person. I've always been a loving, I guess I'm a lover, not a fighter, you know. And a person who, say, maybe catches a few of my videos in an interval where I'm having one of those moments where I'm, you know, speaking out against something, may interpret that as I'm a hateful person or I'm unhappy. You know, but that's my point, is that interpretation of each other is how we base our opinions on each other, and we have to stop doing it. You know, I am a faulty human. I'm flawed. I have all kinds of problems in my life that I need to work on, and personal things. However, I have more, I guess I totally embrace and enjoy that. And I don't have as many things to work on as I used to, because I've been working on these things, such as how I view the world, training my mind to see things more positively, training myself to not be fazed by other people's opinions unless they're opinions that are trying to relate something or convey a message. See, if a person wants to believe something, they're fine to believe it. I'm not going to argue against that. But if it is something that's obviously preposterous, such as when you run across some of the flat earthers and you ask, "You really believe the earth is flat?" And it seems like you're being poking and prodding. So what I'm doing is comparing that. Poking and prodding at things that have no basis are different than poking and prodding at people for who they are or how they act. You know, I don't have any illusions. I grew up as a, you know, your average kid, you know, in America, you know, average Portland kid. You know, the things that I did as a kid, when I think back and try to say that, when we picture ourselves and picture our lives and say, well, I've been through this or I've been through that, we've been through certain things with different states of mind. So we're not always, if you experience something when you're 15 and then when you're 40, you're going to have a completely different revelation from that experience. Just like reading a book at different ages. And I think that's important to remember, because a lot of people often will say, I've been where you are, I know where you're at. That's one of the most, kind of something I just roll my eyes at and say, you know, no, nobody's ever been where anyone's at. They've had similar situations, but there's this all-encompassing personality that goes with that is only individualized to that person, and each person deals with their situations in their own ways and in their own time. So I think one of the most marvelous things is to observe people and how they all react to their own situations. You know, some people are shy, some people are very boisterous, and to embrace that and see that it's the contrast between extremes that shows us the balance that we need, if that makes sense. It's if everything was love, there would be no such thing. If everything was hate, there would be no such thing. It's only through the contrast of love and hate do we have these. They're wordless. They're Zen. You know, some of these things are unexpressible. But when I look back on myself as a teenager, I did some stupid shit. You know, as wise as I may have thought I was at the time, you know. My friend and I took a hatchet into the woods and chopped down some little trees just for the hell of it. Why? We loved nature. We went camping. We respected the woods, you know, cleaned up litter. But for some reason we hacked down these 2 little trees just because we had these axes and we were teenagers and we had our adrenaline and our, you know, our hormones rolling, and like, all right, cut down a couple little trees. Little moments like that, I blocked that out for years, like these different little things I've done that were stupid in my life. And looking back, I love being able to see them and see how I've grown out of them. Because it's my belief that life is all about growth. We could sit and debate the idea of reincarnation forever and whether or not anything you do in this life affects you in the next life. But let's just say for a minute that and render that idea of reincarnation or an afterlife irrelevant, and just say, as for this life, if we are growing towards being a better person, if our intention is to carry on after this life into another life, or whether it's just to die, the path should be the same, to grow and be a better person. In other words, it doesn't matter whether you think whether you're an atheist or you're a Christian. The moral values should be the same, because we know which ones work and which ones don't. Of course, there are many details people have about, you know, the specifics of what it means to, you know, become a better person or to grow. But I think that at a certain point a person realizes that it's pathetic to even try to tell a person that their truth is not valid if that person's truth is helping them and helping others and helping the world. We're all going to think differently. We're all going to have different opinions. I just, you know, over and over, I guess I'm repeating myself. Embrace the difference. Embrace the diversity. You know, embrace who we are. But, you know, I have a lot of subs who like me for who I am, and I have some subs who probably hate me, and some subs who are just maybe indifferent. Those are the extremes, you know. The impact other people have on me is only as much as the information they're conveying. In other words, if a person just wants to start calling me names or trying to prod at me to get, you know, my attention, I can recognize that, and I know that because I know who I am. And whenever something like that happens, I think about the people that I grew up with, or people that I may have known, and people like them who have a low self-esteem, who one comment or bullying remark online can set a person to an extreme depression. You know, I've seen people more or less abandon YouTube because of the hateful remarks people were making to them, because they weren't able to move past it and just know who they are. So that's my message for the day, is to just know who you are. And it doesn't matter if you don't like what you see. You're never going to like yourself completely. That's the goal, is to work out the issues that are making you feel like you need to do the things that press us in life, the things we know we need to do. They're usually obligations that we've made, or promises, or practices, things that we know we need to do. And if we don't do that, we start to look down on ourselves. So how do we cure that? Well, we do the things we need to do, and we do the work. And work is constant. Just remember, if you're in a point in your life right now where things aren't working out and you feel like you can't do the things you need to do, it's okay. I've been stagnating for like a year. I went through a very spiritual time up until about a year ago, and then I've just been kind of stagnating all winter. You know, I've been going through many different, thoughts, and still growing, but it's more of a gradual thing. And then I feel like in the last few weeks, I've had this big leap forward in my way. So those are the moments I wait for, those epiphanies, those awesome moments, where I can step out of, step back into the cycle and get it going again. And so I'm feeling very connected to the universe lately, and very connected to people. And those are the things I strive and yearn for, because those are the moments when I'm happiest. Those are the moments when I don't have anything to prove, and where I don't have anything to hide. Because that's a key component, is not having anything to hide. You know, if you have secrets, that's fine. We all have secrets. But when you allow yourself to be exposed, such as making videos, talking about your life, you pretty much take away the ammunition. If you have so much ego and arrogance that you think that you have it all figured out, then people are going to call you out on that. I'm willing to step back and say, I don't know. I know there's something greater than I am. What is it? Why label it? It's just a matter of how I feel. I've been following my heart very strongly and letting life direct me, because you have to take initiative in your life, but at the same time you have to ride the waves, go along and just ebb and flow with the tides, and see where it takes you. And it might drop you off on a distant shore somewhere. Right now I have kids to take care of in my life, so I can't go out and do some spiritual journey in the mountains, right? It's an obligation. Some people have really important careers that they're trying to, get to some point, and it keeps them tied down. Just remember that today's moment and what holds us back will be eventually gone, and we'll be into something else. So to embrace the obligations and responsibilities and hardships that we have right now, knowing that eventually they will be resolved, only if we make the effort. Very few issues aren't resolved if a person puts their intention forward to do so. So, with that in mind, I have some shit I need to get done around this place, so I better get to it. I wish you all the best of days, and I want you all to know that I have a good heart, and you have a good heart, we all have a good heart, and we are all one big heart. And beating upon this planet in this crazy, crazy solar system and galaxy, and on and on and on. So, peace. And it's nice knowing you all, and thank you to all my subs who make this worthwhile by making such awesome comments, because we're all in this together. And when we let down the shields, let ourselves be seen for who we really are, and stop putting on the masks, we can really get some work done.